Finding your personal style can be tough. There are all kinds of YouTube videos and articles and blog posts all telling you how to find your personal style. But a lot of those guides leave out how to apply your personal style to your body type. There could be something you love and is totally your style, but on your body, you don't know why it doesn't look the same. So let's go back to the basics and work in tandem with the style that you want with the body that you have. Welcome to the first video in my new series, The Best Basics for Your Body Shape. Today, we're talking all about tops. I want to keep this really easy for you. The first thing I want you to do is to know your 3 to 4 staple colors. I would recommend 4 or even 5 over 3, but at least 3. These colors don't have to be exact. So for me, my colors are black, white, tan, and gray. Those can be dark versions of those colors, light versions of those colors. It's really hard to have a basic when it's in a color you don't often wear. So you have your 4 colors, and now you need 4 of each of these types of items. The first one is a tank top or a camisole. Now, the thing with tank tops and camisoles, they're great for layering, but if you live somewhere that is generally more cold, where you don't wear a lot of tank tops, then this might not be an area of like needing one of each of your 4 colors. Is it helpful? Absolutely. Now, when choosing your staple basic tank tops, you need to consider your shoulders and the neckline. The shoulders are really important because that's the area that's sticking out, right? The tank top essentially is a top that doesn't cover your shoulders. If you have broad shoulders, you'll want thicker straps, and if you have more narrow set shoulders, you'll want thinner straps. But if you have a short torso, you're gonna want as thick of a strap as your shoulders can pull off, while if you have a longer torso, you're gonna want as thin of a strap as you can pull off. This is because the contrast between your straps and your skin create color blocks. And if you have a long torso, the more contrast and more obvious you can make those color blocks, that's gonna break up your torso to make it appear more balanced. But if you have a short torso, thicker straps are going to connect those 2 color blocks and lengthen your torso. This is all about being in proportion when it comes to the skin of your shoulder versus the fabric area of your shoulder. The other area that's important for all of these tops is your neck and your neckline. The color block of a tank top means you have a color literally blocking out all the way down here. Your shoulders aren't covered, so it's gonna actually continue the line of your neck all the way down. V-necks and scoop necks will make your neck appear longer, but they can also de-emphasize a large chest. Crew necks and mock necks will lengthen your torso because it's taking this area right underneath your neck, kind of your upper chest, and deciding that it belongs to your torso rather than to your neck. So it will also shorten your neck. So in general, like, this isn't a science, but if you want to know your neck length, you want to put one hand underneath your jaw, and if you can fit a second hand between that and your collarbone, you're considered to have a long neck. But if you only need one hand or even less, then you have a short neck. Next up, you're going to want a short sleeve tee in all of your 4 colors. This one, I do think it's a really great staple to have. You will wear it all year long. It can go with your cardigans, it can go with your shorts, it goes with everything. So definitely have this one in each color. Again, with the short sleeve tee, your neckline is super important. When it comes to necklines, I want contrasting colors to my skin tone to flatter my neck. Whatever necklines I feel accentuate the natural state of my neck, for me being a longer neck, but maybe for you being a shorter neck, I want to choose colors that blend into my skin tone for those necklines. So I tend not to choose black V-necks because the black with my lighter skin is going to create a lot of contrast, so that V is very obvious. So for V-necks, I tend to like choosing them in white or light beige or light gray. Those lighter colors create less contrast and makes it less obvious of how long my neck is. And instead, I like to do blacks, dark colors, or even colorful colors in areas that cover my neck more. So it'll actually elongate my torso and make my neck look more proportional. The other thing you need to keep in mind when choosing the best short sleeve tee for your body shape is the length. Here is where it is so important to know if you have a long torso or a short torso, because t-shirts are generally made for the average proportional sized person, but there's only, you know, maybe some number sizing and maybe some small, medium, large type of sizing, but there isn't really any sort of sizing that takes into account if your torso is longer or if it's shorter. Doesn't matter what height you are. You want a length that hits between the widest part of your hip and the top of your hip bones, right about here on me. That spot for me is easy to tuck in or not tuck in however I please, and I don't feel like I have too much fabric below me. Now, if you have a longer torso, you're gonna have the opposite problem if you buy that same t-shirt that I have, because it's not gonna cover you as much. Next, you're gonna need your long sleeve tee, and this one I do again think you need one in each of your 4 staple colors. Again, no surprise, your neckline's gonna be super important, but the other element of a long sleeve tee, other than neckline and even other than length, is the sleeves. If you're just wearing your long sleeve tee with some jeans, nothing on top, nothing over it, then it's important to know if you want to roll up your sleeves. In general, if you have a short torso, I do recommend pushing up your sleeves a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to make your arms look extra long in comparison to your torso. Your sleeves are right next to your torso, so if they're exceptionally longer, then this is going to kind of pop to the eye as something that might be imbalanced. So if you just roll it up a little bit, your sleeves don't look quite as long, and in my opinion, it's just a little bit stylish look, but you don't have to. It could also be the case if you have a long torso and you're wearing some high-rise pants with your long sleeve tee. If you have your long sleeves going all the way down to your wrist and your high-rise jeans coming up to here, pulling them up a little bit can kind of bring it all back into balance. The other basic staple you need is a couple button-up blouses. And I say button-up, but they don't actually technically have to be button-up, just a lot of them are button-up, but you can find kind of the same style that actually just doesn't have buttons, and it's just a top. It looks like a button-up blouse, but it's technically not. Anyway, that's details that don't matter. There's the traditional, more tailored button-up that you see a lot in like work settings, but then there's also the trend that's right now very oversized, some menswear, and with those two you get very different silhouettes. The first thing you want to keep in mind is the fabric thickness and even starch, which can create a lot of volume and a lot of emphasis, but if there's areas you don't want to emphasize, this isn't probably the option for you. When it comes to your shoulders, if you have broader shoulders, you probably don't want oversized or shoulder pads in the button-up. That could just become a little bit too overwhelming, unless that's the look you're going for. Of course, you can go for any look that you want. But if you want to kind of keep your body in balance, you're gonna wanna find a couple button-up blouses that kind of hit you right at your shoulders so it looks like it fits. In contrast to a thicker, starchier material is kind of the silkier, thinner, just really soft-ish material. And that's not gonna create as much emphasis. It's gonna look really soft and delicate. And so kind of deciding which one you want, go with the opposite of what you think your top half is. If you have a longer neck, you're gonna have an easier time pulling off some of these collars. If you want it to look more casual, or if you have a shorter neck, I recommend safety pinning your collars down or putting a little double-sided fashion tape right on there so that it can just stay open and it's not crowding your neck as much. Now, every time I talk about this, I will hear from somebody. That's why I talk about all of the different types of clothes. You have some warm weather options with tank tops, but I'm also gonna give you some cold weather options with sweaters. Neckline and contrast are as important as length and shoulders. And I've already made a very detailed video on how to find the perfect sweater for your body shape, so I'll link it below in the description box. But for your basic sweater, you know, the staple that you're going to pull to make other outfits and layer easily on top of, this is not your chunky sweaters, thickness is important. You wanna have some quality to the fabric because that creates a little bit of structure. Sweaters that are too thin can sometimes just look a little bit flabby if they don't fit you perfectly. And if they fit you perfectly, they might actually become too tight very quickly. So I prefer to just have a sweater that's a little bit thicker so that I can drape it and style it in a few different ways that I can make sure flatter my body versus look like it's hanging on my body. It's important to keep yourself in mind, your lifestyle, the weather that you're living in. Again, you might not need 4 sweaters. You actually might need 10. This is my first video in the Best Basics for Your Body Type series. So I will have the series linked here, but until then, I'll put another thing I think you'll really like. So thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you over here in my next video. Bye.